Hi, I'm Sam with another After Effects tutorials. I'm following up with this from where we left off, having ease in and ease out. There might be other things that you want to create that you cannot do necessarily perfectly with ease in and ease out, though they fall within a similar category. So here we're going to make use of the graph editor, which you find down in here. Let me test this animation and see how it runs. So you realize the red ball bouncing, okay, and it sort of reduces in height and until it gets to the very end. Between the bounce and it coming back bouncing off the floor, it moves a little faster than it does when the ball gets to the very top. So how are we able to create this? Let's create a new composition. So I'm going to go to composition, new composition, and I'll make this 10 seconds, and I'm going to go and click on OK. So let's call this bounce ball. We call it bounce ball. Right, so from here, I'm going to go and create, I'll just use a shape. So the ellipse down here. I have my title action save area on. We know that when you create shapes, you tend to have anchor point is created somewhere in the center of the page. I don't want that to happen, so I am going to turn on my title action save area. If you're looking for the title action save, it's down here, and you want to have it on. Once it's on, you have these cross in the middle here, and I'll begin to click and drag. When I begin to click and drag, I'm not holding down any key so far. So to get it to scale from the center outward, I'll hold down the command key and shift to get me to constrain to a perfect circle. So I think something like this would work well for me, and I'm going to go and click outside here. I'll start the bounce off from the top. So basically with my title and action save area, I may want the center to kind of snap or sit on this line. Okay, so with that, I'm going to press P for position and set a keyframe for position in the beginning. I'll go, let's say, halfway, so which is about 12 frames per second, or maybe around 13 frames. I'm running at 25 frames per second, so half will be 12.5, but we don't have 0.5s here, so I would say around that's 12 frames. And I'm going to set a keyframe, so I'll move this down, holding down shift, and I will drag it so its end also snaps with the action save area. Okay, so currently all we have here is just one ball bouncing off, and that happens. So I'm going to copy the keyframes. To copy keyframes, you make a marquee selection, or you may go to position and click on the word position. Don't click on a stopwatch. When you click on a stopwatch, you delete all the keyframes. Clicking on the word or the property would select the keyframe. So I'll have that selected, and I'll go Command C to copy. All right, and I'm going to go and leave this on 1 second, and I'll paste Command V. I'll go ahead and select each of these and paste. So move it to 2 and then paste. You can probably just go ahead and select multiple and paste. Okay, so I'll do this up to the point, Command V, and I'm going to select all of this again and Command C to copy, take it to 5 seconds, and Command V to paste. Okay, so we have this within that, but when we get to the end here, there is nothing happening in here, so we need one keyframe. That's the beginning. So Command C to copy, and once this is sitting here, Command V to paste. All right, so when you test this, that's all we have. It moves very fast. Initially it renders, so after rendering, then it plays in real time. Now it's just playing in real time. All right, and the movement is just sort of consistent. As I said in the earlier tutorials, nothing really moves in a consistent manner. So how are we going to deal with that? So let's get started. We'll need to select the keyframes, and so I'll click on the position property down here to select all the keyframes, or you can make a marquee selection by clicking and dragging if that's what you prefer. I'm going to go and click on once I have this selected, I'll click on the graph editor, and here we have the graph editor. Currently we have the X and Y properties, okay, but if you see, the X values are the red line and the Y ones are the green ones. The X values have not been changed because we did not we only change the Y values of this ball. Okay, so if you move in a timeline and you keep your eye down here whilst I move in a timeline, you realize that it's only the Y values that are changing and not the X values. Right, whilst I move this around, you would also realize that the top ones, okay, the stop areas correspond to where the ball bounces, okay, and the ones below down here correspond to where the ball gets to the top. So what we want to do here is to, when the ball, generally, if you watch a ball bouncing, when it gets to the top, it slows down and then it comes down again with a bit more force and bounces off the floor and then goes up, takes a little more time at the top, and then bounce off again. All right, first, let me get rid of, I have both keyframes selected. So I'm going to select here, I'll click on the position property, right click on it, and I'll separate the dimension. So I'm separating the X from the Y. You would see when I did that, I now have X and Y positions. We don't want to animate the X, so I'll go and select only Y, so I can see only Y properties. Okay, so with that, I'll click holding down on Alt, and I'll drag this just a little bit, and I'll go down here holding Shift. I'm holding down the Shift key just to make sure they are straight, and I'll try to make it as much as possible. Click in here, hold down the Alt key, and drag. Hold down. You can hold down Alt and Shift key at the same time. Okay, and I'll pull these very quickly. The more U-shape it is, the broader the base, the longer it takes to stay at the top. So depending on how much or how long you want that to stay at the top, you probably may want to not to pull it too much, else it will stay there. Probably it will hang in there for way too long. If I should test this at the moment, it's not what we need at the moment. Okay, it's bouncing off, but kind of staying well at the top, but down there we want a much more punch in this. So to do that, I'm going to go and select that. So I'll click the top here, hold down Alt again. You can either hold down Alt. When you hold down Alt and you hover over this, that's if you have your selection tool, you would realize that when you hold down Alt, it changes to what we have down here in under the pen tool. That's a convert anchor point tool. You can also go for it down if you want to. I'll prefer to go with the selection tool and Alt and click. So I'm going to Alt click down here, and I'll pull this until it sits, let's say somewhere. I'm just pulling it straight. Okay, initially when I pull, the two tangents are being controlled. Don't worry, when you release this, it is broken. So I'll hold Alt again, and I'll drag this until this sort of has a V being pointed at the top. I'll hold down Alt and drag all of the rest one more time, and I'll do that for all the other ones. So whilst I do this, through the magic of video, I would meet you at the other end. All right, so that's the last one, and I will test my animation. When I test this, yes, it's much more believable than it was earlier on, and yeah, you can manipulate it a bit more if you want to. But if a ball is bouncing, it reduces in height. Okay, the first bounce will go higher, and then as it comes down, it keeps reducing. In to you earlier on that we have within the timeline the ones at the top corresponding to the bounce, and the ones where we have the U, the end, the base of the U, corresponding to the ones at the top. So to be able to get this work for us, we will need to have to begin to move this, and I'll just do this just for time's sake, sort of eyeballing. So I'll move this a little bit up, and then I'll select that and move this, let's say about the next bar, and I'll move this one bar up. Okay, so again, this, I'm not doing this. You can make a marquee selection and move all of them at the same time. I would move this a little somewhere midway here, and I would drag this down a little bit So just go ahead and drag these so that you reduce the height of the ball bouncing. So this goes up a little more. You may need to make a few adjustments here and there, okay, especially for something like this. Right, so with this selected, I'll go and move the tangents up a little bit so we don't have that base sort of looking kind of weird. And I'll click in to get this side also move up. Okay. So you can go and fine tune all of these, but let me test this again. And so it's preview, so now it's playing in real time. Okay, and that reduces down and down and down until it stops completely. Okay, so the other thing we can do to this is to add the scale to it. If you realize if a ball bounces off the floor, the scale sort of it will press down a little bit. So we can go ahead and add the scale to it. So if we have to do that, I'll select the layer, press S for scale, and we'll click on the graph editor to bring back our timeline. All right, so with S for scale, we would go from the beginning. If you want to see the other keyframes, you press U just to know where the keyframes correspond. But to add to it, we do Shift S so that we can see our scale and position at the same time. I'll set a keyframe in the beginning for scale. That's where we have the ball at the top, and move to the next point. It may be a wise idea to use the keyframe navigators, okay, to move to your keyframes. So you are sure it sits exactly on it. If you can do that effectively, that's fine. I'm going to go down in here to scale, and I'll break the chain. Realize that if I don't break the chain and I type this into 200, realize that the X and Y values change at the same time. Okay, this time we just want to change the Y value when the ball bounces. So we would scale this down, let's say something to about 70% or so. Okay, and well, that reduces the size where the ball hits the floor here. So I'll move it just a little bit so it sits down there. All right, so we have made adjustments to the position. Okay, just a little adjustment to it. Now with the scale, I'm going to go and copy just like we did with the first one. So I'll copy the two. So Command C to copy and move this down here. Command V to paste. I'll copy these two. Command C to copy, move it forward. Command V to paste, and I'll go ahead and make a marquee selection. Command C to copy. I'll move down to 4 seconds and Command V to paste, and I'll paste the last ones here, Command V. Okay, so when we test this, yes, it's bouncing. Well, let's watch it in real time. Okay, so it's now starting real time, but realize that the ball, let me play this in slow motion. When I move this, the ball doesn't touch the floor and it's already sort of squashed. Okay, it starts squashing before it bounces off the floor. So this is what we're going to do. We need the ball to bounce off before it touches the floor, before it starts to squash. So I will copy the keyframe. There will be no, for scale, there should not be any change until it bounces off the floor. So I'll copy this one here, Command C to copy, and move it just one frame until it touches the floor, and I'll paste again, Command V to paste. Okay, so up to this point there is no change in the size, and then it bounces. Okay, when it bounces, it may go up a little bit before it actually straightens up. So I'll go about 3 frames ahead, and I'm going to paste, Command and V. Okay, so we would go ahead and go to the keyframes in between here, just right here, and Command and V, and move a little bit to the front, and Command V again. So we would have to do this for each of those endpoints where the ball bounces off. So I'll meet you somewhere at the end. We now have something much more believable. You can actually extend this a little bit more and get it to sort of stretch a little bit. You can add some exaggeration to it, but we'll see you in class. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.